now, and it's beautiful to see because they had part one of their video. They had an insider at CNN come out and say that, yep, they engaged in propaganda, CNN did, to remove Trump from the presidency. Our focus was to get Trump out of office. I came to CNN because I wanted to be a part of that. And then they had a second part that released today, and it's just as good. Project Veritas released a video Tuesday of a CNN director admitting the network did what it could do to get former President Donald Trump out of office under the guise of a Tinder date. Gross. A Project Veritas undercover reporter got CNN technical director Charlie Chester. Scheme would go ahead and allude you to what you could find for a Tinder date. Proclaim that without CNN, Trump wouldn't have been voted out. These are these people who still think that mainstream media has that much power. You've got to admit that they still do have a fair amount of power in order to just push the narrative to not low IQ people. I keep saying that and I don't mean that. Just low information people that only just see the surface level analysis. You might have low IQ, but that's for other people to decide. But these are the people who are at these mainstream networks who are pushing the idea that they control the speak of the public square. Okay, we already know this on big tech side. Fuck, there's been how many whistleblowers come out for Project Veritas and Facebook and Twitter, everywhere else, Google manipulating algorithms, and now we got somebody, on the legacy side, Chester claiming, look what we did, we got Trump out. Well, to the million people who peak watching your coverage in the evening, sure. I am 100% going to say it. I 100% believe that if it wasn't for CNN, I don't know that Trump would have got voted out. I came to CNN because I wanted to be a part of that, Chester said. I think that's your buddies in big tech as well, if we may invoke their name. Putting fact checks on everything and constantly running nothing but unbridled praise for Biden. The public known about the Hunter Biden laptop, that would have swayed things. If we're believing everything was on the up and up on the day of the election, we were creating a story that we didn't know anything about. Chester said the network played up possible Trump health problems. Oh, okay. Yeah, so when he contracted COVID, probably. I wasn't watching their coverage because I'm not 65 years old. Probably just running it up and down. That, this is lethal for somebody in his age bracket. Anyways. We brought in so many medical people to tell a story that was all over the spectrum, and it was all speculation, that he was neurologically damaged and he was losing it. They asked him to read a Biden health profile and then just say Trump at the end of it, and that's cool. He's unfit to, whatever. We're creating a story that they're there that we didn't know anything about. That's what. I think that's propaganda, he said. Our focus was to get Trump out of office, he said. Without saying it, that's what it was, right? So our next thing is going to be climate change awareness. Yeah, makes sense. That makes sense. It doesn't surprise me at all. Just like being Orange Man bad for 4 years, how do you properly quantify any changes in climate, right? But that's another discussion for another video. Like I said, part 2 dropped today. And what do we got? Well, we got more of this fucking Tinder date on video. Charlie Chester, a technical director for CNN, was captured on film by Project Veritas admitting that for ratings and explaining he believes there is no such thing as unbiased news. At CNN, I think, probably. Sad news, back to back to back, doesn't do really well unless it affects viewers directly. So you can keep people just stagnant and complying for a year and a half, I'd imagine. No one ever says these things out loud, but it is obvious. COVID gangbusters with ratings, right? Which is why they're bitching and moaning right now that Orange Man is out of favor. A lot of people are just getting fed up and taking a look at other states that are opened up right now. And that's kind of let the horse out of the barn, per se. Which is constantly why we have the death toll on the side, except for when Biden or a Democrat is speaking. Why isn't it higher today? It would make out this should be our point better if it was higher, he said, while being secretly filmed. Fear really drives numbers. Put the number back up because that's the most exciting thing we have. Not your presenters, because they're all just interchangeable suits who just read off teleprompter. Who, if you ask them what they talked about the day before, they would just give you a blank stare and wonder where their donut is. Or if you're Don Lemon, just wonder if they refilled the Kleenex box so you can just break down in hysterics whenever you're just in the middle of the week slump. Any reporter at CNN, they're telling them what to say. It's always like leading them in a direction before they even open their mouths. And the only people we let on air for the most part are people that have a proven track record of taking the bait. Sounds about right. Like I was saying about empty-headed teleprompter, and these idiots will just read it verbatim and take every corporate line, hook, line, and sinker because they just want to get paid. I don't want to raise a ruckus or anything. I got kids to feed. I jest, of course. But to be fair, you gotta take this all with a little bit of a grain of salt. Everybody who's even seen just a little bit of CNN coverage knows that it's highly biased. And this guy isn't someone who just works in the mailroom. It's a technical director. Somebody who has a little bit of staff. Named Charlie Chester before. Can't quite pinpoint it, but does have a sizable they're trying to push, and giving up the beans on a date. Is he trying to make himself seem a little bit more impactful than he actually is? What he has influence over? Yeah, okay, perhaps. You could go ahead and spin that way, and I would lend a little bit of credence to that, but within every story, within every lie, there is at least a kernel of truth, and you can look at this as either somebody who is just trying to impress a date, or somebody who is conclusion that CNN is crap. CNN is trying to push. There's no such thing as unbiased news. Shows yourself. Project Veritas' page. They're quick watches. I think they're like 4 or 5 minutes a piece. Chester was actually confronted today. Seeing if everything that he said was true. James O'Keefe, the bravest and probably the last journalist out there, he was actually trying to do some good work, trying to get some information, trying to corroborate his story. But the CNN director confronted about his claims that network used propaganda and fear to defeat Trump. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he just shut up, hopped in his vehicle. Hopefully he didn't plow into anybody afterwards. James O'Keefe of Project Veritas confronted CNN's technical director Charlie Chester about his stated focus of pushing Trump out of office via a video released Tuesday. The video shows O'Keefe walking into a diner where Chester was eating breakfast with a Project Veritas informant who had previously left the table, allowing O'Keefe to slide into Chester's booth. Oh, just like Catch a Predator Chris Hansen. Why don't you sit down, have some lemonade, would you like some cookies? And confronted him about the recently released tape in which Chester was recorded saying, "Look what we did, we got Trump out." Once again, not you guys. Come on, barely anybody watches your coverage. "I don't know that Trump would have got voted out. I came to CNN because I wanted to be a part of that." The video shows Chester seemingly surprised at being confronted by O'Keefe's continual questioning. "Oh my god, you're actually going to hold me accountable? At CNN, nobody ever does this. Oh my god, I don't believe it." "You're on tape saying this," O'Keefe questioned. Chester responded, "Not interested in talking to you." God, won't somebody get this guy out of my face? Chester, so that Chester eventually interrupted O'Keefe, asking him to put on a mask and stand 6 feet away. What a fucking bitch. Chester then put on a mask himself, hopefully one over his eyes so nobody could see him crying. O'Keefe stood up, as seen in the video, asking Chester about his past comments on the recorded video in which Chester previously explained that CNN engaged in propaganda and fear-mongering during the 2020 presidential election campaign against former President Trump, which you can see in the side box. Won't cover it today, but YouTube suspending Rebel News over election misinformation. I'm sure that has something to do with the 2020 election. YouTube's been on a spree lately. Thankfully, I had to knock on wood there for a minute. I haven't been caught up in this recent wave, but pretty much everybody I know, and probably everybody that you know, has been hit with either a warning or a strike, or maybe even their second strike as well. It's been vicious. Most people are coming out of this wave right now, but who knows? I still got about a month and change before my first strike gets wiped off of my channel, so all things good, I hope. Who fucking knows? They could be changing their policies behind the scenes as we speak at the moment. Chester did not answer the question and left the table, walking to his car. Sucks to suck, I guess. O'Keefe shouted at him after he drove away, "Drive away, but you won't be able to drive away from the truth." Yes, of course, because you work at CNN, so he's probably driving to the disinformation factory as he normally would. We know what they're going to be working on next, so within the next couple of weeks, a bit low for a moment. They'll probably focus on the racial angle. They're probably pushing hard on Dante Wright, probably pushing hard on the George Floyd trial. They'll go ahead and they'll let that simmer for a minute, and then probably by the fall, it'll be a whole bunch of climate change stuff, and they'll be telling you to, oh, don't worry, just turn down your thermostat for the winter and buy some blankets because I don't know, our new sponsors just shoveling fucking hay-filled burlap sacks. And don't worry, they're just as comfortable. Maybe that's what David Hogg left his pillow company for, to start up. That little twink needs a video of his own in the coming days. But yeah, I have a tough time believing that just CNN took down Trump. Just CNN perpetuated the fear-mongering that has gripped the entire world for the past year. But at the same time, they're part of a much larger cabal of individuals. In fact, the ones that were outlined in that Times Magazine article from a couple of weeks ago, about a couple of months ago, a month and change ago. We'll go ahead and split the difference for your security. So we know that they're a part of something bigger. And if you just turned on the news, even Fox News, remember, they were dabbling, but instead, now they're just, what are they doing? They're just pushing Tucker Carlson exceptionally hard because he is the only person left on cable news that draws any semblance of ratings. Fox News, for the most part, has purged everybody else. I don't know what's happening with Judge Pirro. Lou Dobbs is gone. Their midday coverage history is just so fucking milquetoast. Shows they used to be great, but hey, no sense reveling in the past. Now, CNN's a part of something bigger, and hats off to Project Veritas continuing to do good work, being quite possibly the last outlet there, just doing boots on the ground, undercover journalism, getting people of stature, people of substance, not just what these corporations, well, at least admitting to what these corporations are doing instead of us having to suspect what they're doing and trying to deduce and connect the dots on the map. So we'll see what else they do. I don't know if there's going to be part 3 or not. Normally they just do this in 2 pieces anyways, but if they come up with any more revelations in the meantime, I'd imagine they probably still have a couple of people in CNN, because of course they do. They have people literally everywhere that likes to push a certain agenda, everywhere that likes to perpetuate their little slice of propaganda. Project Veritas tends to hold them accountable, and you love to see it. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.